Zoje Janam La Janju Bardo Dani Gyabsonje Dage Jinsu Ebe Sonam Dola Penje Sanje Rubarajo Sanje Judan Zoje Janam La Janju Bardo Dani Gyabsonje Dage Jinsu Ebe Sonam Dola Penje Sanje Rubarajo Sanje Jadon Zoje Zonam Lo Chanjo Bardo Dani Gyabsonje Nage Jinso Jebe Sonam Dola Benje Sanje Rubara Shu. From now until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and Sangha. By the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the Dharma and the Sangha. And by the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And by the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddha for the benefit of all.
Konge tujini zungwa tawa tamje pambe chile tambe chuni tamje be kodam te la cha cha lu. Ya, da galtsi chimbo jiwa lagi. Chinjo nala. Mi tuna senani che chule tu. Dundi chindi nyagawe. Mombeti su ni malo zeta songna shinche. Ta ngone maranzo luisende. Ngone le laboji dan tende pe nyaji ta ten sawanyi le amare. Tende indikala kaji tende milu rinpoche siyade. Milu dala milu kyapardo papachi chadi yore. Wata tende ke milu rinpoche raya indikala khayu layagi susi dandi negabgi semki shide chumbe mao bana tarbata tamche kimbe kobantu yani sunde so saya sonam saya ta tegi division yate so shivjinne chambu chadi yore gala gyatsu paruldo roala ani tuleten ro roashindu wata 직 상기 고방도 로알라 미 tulasene ni be so samti janchine 상기 고방도 해야지 데 된지 가면 መንገር 된디가라 미 루선데 시우지 내 전부 차요레
In the Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, Shantideva says that by using this human body as a boat, one can cross the ocean of suffering. So, having this auspicious body, we shouldn't be letting ourselves fall in the sleep of, ignorance. So, what Shantideva was saying here, as you know, we have attained this very unique human life, very precious, and we shouldn't be wasting when we have this rare opportunity, and we should be using it in the best possible way to attain peace of mind just for this life, and we can further for future life to plant the seed and work towards attaining liberation or enlightenment, and therefore engaging in accumulations of positive merits or purifications of negativities. So he reminds us, use our precious human body as best as we can, and not waste it.
Wata tendi indikala ta ngune ngaransu ninja chi na mandu genji ji sinji de yomare ji tanje kandeji mana ninja chi ne di yare ninja chi de susupi tapo rang ke samnaina shudatang kane marjo chi ne shudatang ki tangi lui jingulje gege na shudatang tangi che samutane ene ta Dina, so 단진제 투비하기 리지 뇽몽비리지요래 되게 때 단진제 투비나 텔라파페 동알데 충로에 계속해 담바레스 딘두갈라 룽아 이숨니 뇽몽 가네지 불게게나 룽아 이숨기 전부 텔리 주르도 용서 고야 말에 룽아 이숨데 슈다다에 시부지 내 전부를 섬거도
And it is important, there is no time which is other than, a day. When we, spend day by days, it is really very important to kind of be aware of our own, activity of our mind, activity of our speech, activity of our body, physical, verbal, and mental, and make sure that we are aware of what we are doing, because there are quite many afflictions or defilements or delusions that is, those are within our own control. We can easily fix those problem, and when we fix those kind of afflictions, naturally we don't have to experience the result that's we so don't want. So but in order to kind of to control and to be restricted kind of sort of physical, verbal, mental lack of alertness, here what is needed is really kind of attention, deliberate active attention for our body, speech, and mind.
딘디 인디가라 직 수수 시기당 루 고숨들라 슈다 마다베이나 같이 셰베이나 직 롬종지 시세 통보여베이나 랑랑 슈다 땅모트베이나 뭐다 추고 말아 뭐다 맞춰베이나 가서 로건베 원게 녀모초라 뇌에 계속해서 말했어.
And if we are unable to examine, our own behavior, as said before, physical, verbal, and mental, it doesn't matter how much you have studied, how there's really no benefit of, kind of studying and learning. And as long as you don't do any kind of, examination on your physical, verbal, and mental behavior, there's no benefits from your learning in Buddhism. So therefore there's really no, it doesn't serve the purpose of studying and practice.
디니 상기비다 파게 싸윈 들사데 잔지 마리 빠지 디 왕기 좀이 녀몽텔라 땅문에 배 들사데 마성에 대차대요래 와다 추기 보면 기르지동 승야데 지 저번 녀몽 기르지동 들려 탑람나 송바래 디니 인디가라 낭파시 인친젤라 녀몽 뭐다 쳐베고네 녀몽라 갑자기 짜투이나 남바 셀된 시작을
So therefore in Buddhist practice, everything comes down to, as we were saying before, the root of all of our suffering and problem, self-grasping thought. Because of that ignorant self-grasping thought, it generates or produces all other kinds of afflictions or delusions or defilements, and then we suffer. So in Buddhism, when we talk about huge amount of teachings, like 84,000 heaps of teachings, basically they are taught in order to kind of solve as a solution for 84,000 say afflictions, or so the point here, we need to engage in a practice such a way that by understanding the negative impacts of afflictions or delusions, we need to apply antidote and implement antidotes.
와다든지 니가라다 뭐니 말아도 다 뒤에 망보지 다 최대 주민이나니 최 많이 발을 뒤에서 망거래 했나 가서니지나 람중 자비민지 고대하래 이나양 랑기 뒤들라 삼다바이나 뒤 망체지 최대 최마인바는 최마인발라 누구야 와다 딱 장보시는 든든지 차로도 와 오다 든디 인디가라 삼번 nembo 담바이나 최대 최마인바는 최마인바 주비야래 레라래 ene lo kombe woni nyomo solo 직 따다마도 삽칸 삽가셔나 진짜네 아주 직 남의 진이 뚝뚝지네 미거 졸라 코라진기 초도도 와 그게 초들라 빼 군구탕 집에 있겠네 티바나 진지 카보는 것도 와 근데 인도가라 지단에 직 nyomo 카드 자데 카보 시고지 카브르드니 자야 된 자원이는 말할까 가서 툭툭 묘몽 파기 건는 바지다 물전제 두고야나 디기지 셈라데키나 망에 셈르지 섬데 데키 류기 엔베 중화 창년 바 용그르자 왔다 죽시니 여러무치 송도 와스 왔다 땡디 내가랑 아주 땡디기 미율라 자네 왔다 간디지 간도인 거저지 바이나 미율데 소 dir사데 묘몽인 삼바치네 오다 두스치는 꿀롱 대 케니 제바이나 오다 이직 펜부용 그랬음 펜부용아이 차디오레스 아니다 망보 디 마셰제네 그잔딘 론드로나스
When we look at our own time kind of allotments, we most of the time we spend time for or doing non-dharmic activities. When we look at dharmic practice versus non-dharmic activities, we spend most of time in non-dharmic activities. And using Geshe-la, he said he's using himself as an example, being a fully ordained monk. Honestly, he seems like spend more time in doing non-dharmic kind of activities, and because when you compare these two, dharmic activities versus non-dharmic activities, it's always easy to us to engage in non-dharmic activities. We are so much used to and familiar with that kind of activities, and as if it's like kind of horse kind of going towards pulling its rein towards that direction. So easy, so natural, so kind of spontaneous. While on the other hand, doing a positive activities is really, it doesn't comes easily as doing, non-dharmic activities. And for positive activities, it is like, as we say, in example, it's like pushing totally exhausted donkey upwards in the mountain. It's really hard. It doesn't go. But here we shouldn't be kind of discouraged and kind of shouldn't be leaving it out, saying that it's too difficult. And when we do our best, to apply antidotes. With the awareness of the negative impacts of afflictions or delusions or destructive emotions, the end result is always happiness of mind or body, whatever the accent, as His Holiness says. So therefore, even when you make recitations or prayers, we need to make sure that the ultimate objective of in Buddhist practice is to challenge afflictions and negative emotions. And so if you keep that in mind, it would be helpful, whatever activities that we do. And with that said, we will go back to text and continue with the reading.
니빠 조금 경술니 스타다데 디순거래. 다 만한도 단다버도 호르던 남가 발긴 제데비 로종님의 어서 다 단다버도 순거데 조금 오면안에 조금 구스도 거래스. 다 가지 제빠제비 제타들라 이니베 다 니바단 조금 제야 와서 디순거래. 다 딘 조금 시디가라 다 거기 삼den기 갑둘라 람림 삼den 갑둘르데 이니게 초 주요래. 되게 경술도 함을가 삼무당과도 백 미스베 게 전부 차디요래. 양내양도 와다 di gang la ani pe pagi ngarang so le tangpo ala tangpo go pagi kyun ge gri ni pe tini semtos ne pa ina ni kanji mi de gang la semtos ne pa ina ni jiwa le ye ge ni ga yo re kan chi ko ni ki kyun chi da ni mang bo yo re ni ba nga de kyun re di na ngarang so le tangpo ala yine duet tangpo chile jingo ni kyun chesho chadiyo res dindiga jingo chela pagi yang do jingo ngwe zimbe goni jingo chela mbede ke chembur samgudu usi.
In the text, if you have the same book, it's on page 132. Middle of the page, techniques for maintaining the view in formal meditation. 조금 정수들에
조금 형술니 인세도 어떤 조금 세대다 오늘 제베 제사들 아니베 돈다슬라 아니 또 뭐 조금 깨게 신이기 미빠장에서 뒤차거레스
조금 정수야 다라 있어. So in this book, we before this section we saw this author Nam Kapel. He explained and dealt with from the two types of meditation. He first dealt with the analytical meditation of analysis, and the whole purpose of doing analysis is so that you can come down to this single-pointed meditation or meditation of concentration. And here, when we talk about single-pointed meditation or calm abiding or shamatha meditation, as we find in the stages of path, great text on stages of path, Lamrim, in that text section where it deals with the practice of concentration, it is important to understand those basic requirements for this meditation, such as 6 proper circumstances, for meditation, and especially for beginners, the two most prominent obstacle, mental agitation and dullness. And for beginners, it begins with the most obvious obstacle is mental agitation, and then when you get some kind of stability of meditation, then you can see the obstacles of the second, which is mental dullness or laxity. So therefore, it is important to understand kind of these two and how these two are causing problem. And then, as many of you know, we talk about those 5 falls or 5 pitfalls.
뭐다 딘디들라 곰 세야데 지단이 곰디 tenyares 나랑도 나를 마곰바지 곰버치네 띠가라니 빼 곰디 ten야지라 곰시고 곰들라 제곰 조곰 샤곰들데 되니 같이 남이 체여레스 여기 제곰 스디가라 간지 빼때 레다 말에 빼 양양도 삼다니 제바체데 때때 제곰시고래 제페 제타들라 에네 빼 semtegal pe shayad la jogom sigore shargom sidiga ferna yende jingir majindani sangi chozo majindani na sangi chozo sok chonamla sidigala sangi gi kusung su yenden do samla sharbe goni sangi chozo majindana ti 당분이 gi kemro ti shargom chagore oda ti nibani gi semgi gi payenda semgi gi 지 강sem केवे 율때다 아니 샘케베 그바당 디게데 삼노타베 고네 아니 장주 버도다니 겹치치 티 타망이든 덤베이나 땅문에 샤곰 차고 어다도 샤곰 스디 티 티기 던데 롤라 샤르고 고네 도세 지든 파게 꽉 차고 고는지 넌투베이나 데 샤곰 스디 어레스 간지 윤된 징길 마시 던데 진 던데 아니 빼 람기림바 차상지 도스지니 과지 차기나 이니 윤디 징일마데 오네 진림 닝슈진 몰람 기출도 람리 차상 산데게 숭자 전부 시부지리 진림 뿜슈 스스 중도 어다 도스지는 빼자 전부리 딘디 직 간지 든디기 곰들레 개발도 수요레스 간지 꼼디 때라 곰스나 꼼디 때야래
Meditation, the Tibetan word is gom, which actually comes from the another word very similar, is komti, which is the concept here is making yourself familiar, gaining a familiarity of whatever that you are trying to have in your thought or mind. And as you know, under meditation we talk about different types of meditation: analytical, concentration, meditation of reflection or reflective meditation, or contemplative, you can say. Analysis, as said before, you examine or analyze, whether something is, right or not. And whatever you analyze, then whatever you found at the end of analysis, then you leave your mind on that object single-pointedly, without any distraction. That is the single-pointed or shamatha meditation. And third types of meditation, reflective or contemplative, is in Tibetan shargom. Shar means it's kind of arising, of the meaning of what you are saying in your thought, and then concentrating on that, meaning in your mind. So it could use with any kinds of recitation, such as when you recite, prayer that we recite all the time, refuge prayer. When you recite, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I attain enlightenment. Just reciting these two sentences, when you recite with kind of reflecting on the meaning here, quickly kind of reflecting the meaning on this verse, the positive features of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And when you recite with that, it becomes refuge practice, just reciting those first two sentences. And when you recite the second two sentences, through the practice of generosity and so forth, that becomes a practice of altruistic mind, generation of altruistic or awakening mind. And this can apply to such as other prayers like a foundation of all knowledge. Foundation of all knowledge is considered as a very sacred text, because it is a prayer. It is a prayer which includes all stages of the path in a very kind of summarized way. So when you sit and recite that prayer, while in the mind, when you just reflect on the meaning, you are basically going through the entire stages of the path in chanting, in recitation.
Wada kumdi thene sem gi rimbe kono wanto chena sem phagi nese ko rimbe wanto chena semni guzar yare. Wada tumul karsa tungar lozan thile sunal tadi gala sem jopa sidi gala karse gore. ngano to mite ke je jayan ti gala phagi nese chi sem tos ti ke ne thuna tele sem jopa sikdo pena jangbuji meto gal pan yunumbu digyo marwa ngano to sem de mite gala yunumbu ne thugyo mare tim matu ne kap tendi jila eni pe sem jopa ze shagdo rimbe goni chena sem nese ki rimbe wong to chena semne guze jagore ताते टुबे थाबलाम देला एनी पे थुगेन जोने जिंदा टेंशनी के छेशो छा दियोरे एनी इजे जिगुने टुबिया तबुंगे गुने टुबिया ओता निम्पु दिजे गे गुने टुबिया ओता तेसु गुने रिम्बा मंबुतो ओता तेकिति मारांसो लोबजों चेने दिगुवार तेसु थुगेन छा दियोरे टुबिया के 갈텐데 또 되게 건도 주제지 진고니체 때랑 예방아요 단 내가 맞아 나랑도 단디까다 진고 개체셔래 예방한데 진이 두게 갈텐데 계속 뭐다 준비거네 뭐다 남린디나 살포요래 뭐다 남린 처메나 살포요래 남린디나 빼미스바 살포도 뭐다 로나 두스지네 여사대 되게 샤스 남린 남돌라잖아 살 타전두스 엔 진고기 타라트도 즉 문이 하고 와서 개침보레스
So as practice of calm abiding meditation in terms of you know making your mind familiar with the object of the observation. We talk about 9 states of 9 stages or 9 mental stages. Scholar Tungar Losantile, he mentioned the first stage is like bee trying to stay on a flower. It try to stay on the flower as much as it can, but it doesn't. And our mind is like that. We try to sit on the whatever object of observation we have, but we couldn't. It's just fleets. And in terms of how to attain that particular shamatha meditation, then again we talk about understanding of those 5 pitfalls or fallacies or deterrents, and applications of antidotes, 8 antidotes, and then then 9 mental abidings, and applications of 4 mental engagements, applications of 6 powers. These are all kind of basic requirements to understand calm abiding meditation, and you will find more detail about those in, of course, Tsongkhapa's Great Stages of Path, Lamrim text itself, and then medium Lamrim, and you can also find in Liberation in the Palm of Your Hand, the text we studied before, and also Tepdina Suyembe.
Bel Sebudo, Namdula Channel.
Okay, Namdula Channel.
No.
So it's to have effective good meditation, it's good to know those basics of the meditation.
Oda Gachidala Itropa Nando Duba Zamtans, Yemin Min So, Kantoyang Minzimbe, Mitoba Champa Gombatang, Ripichen Rajim Mepan, Nietse, Telejin Gomba Sokyang, Mirowa, Marshins Las, Pape Zala Main. Je dala main gentlemen zadap te sungesra main je tamche wa jijepe tamche mepar gapa e bluetooth sung karta shinda chimbo gun wombachi dance tang phage yanchi du thumbani rami kel tawa kyong che ranjin linki miyul kang sangdo namban jinsa chiltar zungwa lepar Neperchenes, Milte Santo, Queen Chiltar Zimbe, Zinsan, Yulkapa, Menga, Ki Nambachen, Kyongwani, Net Tambaimbe, Telegendo, Merunla, Oda, Tikarson, Tanganzo, Tony Gom Sidigala, Tombani, Yulgi Chuni Gom Sidigala. Ta Karaguara, Gacha Zinzin, the Tapa Tazungi, Zembar was 10 Sawan in Yomari. Yomari, let's it Trumna, Zembar Trumna. You can a multiple dindich to worry, say, Tit Lola Chawachine, Gachi Chil Laba Mashana, and if Ko Ti Gachong Munzin Yapuch Majuna, Zemilu you the Shara Kabore. Chesam, Tanda Umapil Tawade, Mengare, Menga Sitigala, Gacha Sindu Kape. Katsam Tagaramato Telejembi Chujim Payake Omari. What a tiny Mengate, Louis the Chawala, Chawachini, take a lingy, Zairatatic, Pagi, Chiture Tinzigone, Tunanda, Mujikan go on them at Tunanda, Kancha Rajim ever to a tail, Gacha Central, Katsam get Tonsam Tagala number Jai, Janata, Kanchi, Mitoba Consul, Gomsul Tagaran. Menga Kanchi Gaji Zindu Kape, Kasam Takaran Race for that. Take a line of Pelling, Jaijila, and it's only Gombate, this is Sungore. What a Junjuna doa, Tapenguela Marapating women Zima in Sunda. Tapenguela Marapating women Zima in the Karsungore. Kacha Centru Tapatazungi, Zember Trumna to send the race. Zinda with Zember Truth City, and Epe Pagi, Zindu Katsam Git Tonsang Takarang, Mengares Sungwarwa. Tongi Sungwara. tagarang indugala tingala tati kanche tapa thazunge gacha tendu de chija ini di tsetile ini 가참지라 ini pe menga se tu jini jagu ora otati sungor ingyu
Techniques for maintaining the view in formal meditation. As was explained above, when our minds are distracted towards the self to be negated, it is not appropriate merely to withdraw them. Nor should we meditate on nothing but a non-conceptual state in which we do not adhere to any such notions as existent or non-existent, is or is not, nor we have found by reason examination that there is no inherent existence. Should we meditate on something other than that? With regard to the way in which all these stated by Nagarjuna when he says not produced from self or other or both or neither are exclusively non-affirming negations. All the great pioneers, Indian masters such as Aryadeva, Buddha Palita, Chandrakirti, Shandideva, Shandarakshita and Atisha unanimously concur in word and thought. In maintaining the view of selflessness, once we have properly ascertained the mode of apprehension of the innate misconception of self, whatever object it apprehends and in whatever way it apprehends it, the vital point is to maintain the view of non-affirmation as a result of having negated the mode of apprehension of the object the way it apprehends it and not otherwise. When we meditate on here say on emptiness, on the reality of how things exist or reality of things, we need to know, let's say hypothetically, although things lack inherent existence, true existence, but hypothetically if we say things exist inherently, naturally, objectively, then what it should be, how it should be, what is the mode of existence, although it is not the reality, but if it exists, then let's say hypothetical. So one must have that kind of understanding, although that's not the reality. Here, non-affirmation. When we talk about negation, we talk about two types of negation. One is non-affirmation. Another is, affirmation itself, I guess just the word. So in this school of thought, particularly, when they say negation, it only refers to non-affirmation. When it negate, it is simply a negation. There is no kind of something implicit, kind of meaning of something exists. So it's simply, if you understand, this meaning of non-affirmation, it only says, no or negate. There's nothing kind of unlike affirmation by saying negation. It's not trying to establish something on the other hand. And we find same kind of understanding in Shantideva's text. Without encountering the object of negation, you won't be able to understand the lack of existence of that that object. So first we need to understand kind of in order on the condition like
gacha dentru mun dembertum na tapathu dembertum ban deniji gel malte ban deniji tu pure sede tu ngunji yang ta ba matubala yulchini demete to tu mare se sungores te ta chibuji nyare chake amal tangur nala disir sungores phachotini kisi seba na chake amal tangur na disungare fargansal magi be magan ko imbandu bos zendu fargan jade zembar tu wale jane zembar tu chal zendu dire jade raye maro te mara te zembar ti mara patta kara 애니페 율충이 들으셔 마르간즈는 동방일래 자네 뭐다 또 순고하래스
So in Shantideva's text, when he says that when you are, without kind of encountering the object of observation itself, you cannot you cannot come to the conclusion that that object exists inherently or not. The other way of understanding here is that, as said before, in order to understand or come to the conclusion that things lack inherent existence or independent existence, we need to know the other kind of, other side of this statement that, as said before, hypothetically, if things exist independently without relying upon causes and factors and conditions, then what would be the mode of that existence? And when you, in order to understood, completely that things exist, lack of inherently exist, lack of inherent existence or lack of independent existence, you need to know the exact opposite of existence, if it exists at all. In the text of a poetic kind of song of the Chankhya, a great master, in his text he used the metaphor of in trying to find he used the word old father, one ends up in finding the old mother. What he's saying is that old father he used metaphorically for the true existence, inherent existence. So when you try to examine and try to find what is the true existence, inherent existence, what you will end up is you will end up finding nothing. And that is finding lack of inherent existence, and that he used metaphorically, mother. In pursuit of finding a father, once end up finding a mother. So he used here, that when you try to find, if things exist independently, inherently, and try to find that, reality, you will end up finding, emptiness, which is the actual reality of how things exist.
또띠고 있잖아. 따따따 예 시진기도라 юм치모 시야들 꼬아서 따사 레기도. 같이 시진기 도게 잠못동반이때 딜레네 베 잠못동반이래 냐는지나 머리바케 발라다 팔람톰네 아니베 직 상기 고함버도 뚜투고야나 자웨 юм서세야데 따따따 레기도. 마르간 세두가 율칭이 동반이도 떠나 아니베 마수다 라서 파지 둔투고와 고타티 지수테페 고아 따다 여름 가서 좀 된데기 콜로 파르팔라 юм치무셔레게 바로도 침바스야다 단다 아니베 창케 로베도지 마르간 코임반도고 시드가라 마라바 zembar 짤네 마라바 따가는 또 율기 춘이레 네루레 수는 데라 아마세야데 따다 고아 지바 참 두미 데스.
Although the great scholar Chankhya used it metaphorically, mother, but we do find this in the actual kind of we do find this the usage of the word mother, like the sutra of great perfection or transcendental sutra. We call it great mother transcendental sutra, and because the content of that entire teaching is understanding of emptiness, and when you understood emptiness, you will cease all kinds of ignorance or defilements. And the teachings of Buddha, these middle teachings of Buddha, is the what we call here, the mother-like, sutra of transcendental wisdom or perfection of wisdom sutra.
어떻게 되는 다 빈두가라 가사 가자 된주 요 말지 가지 띵원진 투버지 따바터서 그 tumnan dindijre dembar tulten dindijre ranjing tulten dindijre rangon tulten digres uma thangi orte so gachi tulten chi chadi ortade otete so teji tamana ti khu manye pataga rang yuji chingi chagore ti nelu chagore ranjime ba chagore dembar matubazena ranjim matubazena rangon matubazena ta kwachi pachi gan chadi otete so ne chembore tindigala tanda kebje 파몽기 대징임be 람림 나라 아니 배 가르 가자 세고하게 내 첨버에서 숨도와 구마진 줄 알아 구멍 뭐다 쳐가지고 그래 숨도 갈라 딱 원하는 좀 같이 쭈쨌대 야보지 롤라 샤레이나 따바타 좀 같이 쭈쨌대 야보지 롤라 샤레이나 딘다비 쭈첼렌 많이 봤다가랑 율기내루 임바세 코 lokale konna charaya jiyorse de sungudu usi.
So here it is important to understand, although inherent existence or intrinsic existence or true existence is something totally non-existence, it doesn't exist. But we need to know, that non-existence. How is that non-existent? So that's why we mentioned before, hypothetically, if they exist, what would be that like? And we need to know that through kind of, identify through analysis. And as said before, when you try to analyze, and this is what we called in the text or in some other text, the measures of, existence of things, intrinsically or objectively. And when you examine, when you come to the point where it is unfindable, that is understanding of reality, of lack of inherent existence, or lack of intrinsic existence or true nature. So that finding of lack of intrinsic existence, understanding is very crucial and important here. And in Papunga's books, he used an example of, in negating, in understanding the object of negation, in order to use a simple example of, in order to, catch a thief, you need to understand, have information of what that thief looks like. Without, any identification, you won't be able to catch it.
That thing taking nechi chagor. That thing, what the massive ko page. Sonigi ripenala, gachang epine said, Nature, Nejina, Nature Gachin being Nesido. Packaging. Gachang epines and a tabatazung with them, but from that then is to Bure. Teleman till to end be cook carsore. So to the Nanzo Nangsulti La Demper to the Tata Nangiore. ngazu nang 도 자와 간데지 나나 ngazu 레땅보 nang 도 갈라 율 고랑문이 초톱도 두바지 마나 마도 차대 차쟁을 뜨는 두바지다 유게 망부 초발 뜨는 두바지다 딴사만 인낭님이도 낭줄 따가랑 랑아줄 직 다샤지제 삼루지 땅 이안이 양도 삼다나 따가랑 내 라쳐야지래
There are four crucial points in the understanding of emptiness, and one of them is actually, recognition of the object of negation. We need to understand, what we mean by, or what is, negating when we are, negating, when there's a negation of, existence, and that itself is a big important point in the understanding of emptiness, and. To some extent, we can understood this through kind of how things appears to us. As we said many times before, things appears to us as if they exist independently, without anything to do with causes and factors and conditions, and they exist objectively. But however, that is not kind of reality. And if you do some kind of examination or analysis, you will understand from that kind of approach alone.
Tiang kaza ga dame go gumsula chona se ngaran ngatam ki sengdu ngarjin lenki ki jinsang yul rajin nam rang tsingitam ngo ki tuba sotes di keji kaza rajin mepa ni tawe ngo tang ye matarwas jeso lala ta nga rajin me chebal tabu si samdu zepe nga terme te teltarme nangzul teltarme chi nam hyong kweso jezerwa dilechena ji nge sangdu ngar shepal tabu gache chi la prasharna jite ngate ranjindu mechi kyongwala sichi samgi ne mela gache chi la prashana lepra ngwenzimba mena te meso si chir chiltar minro tena zamu tembe sunrap kunji rezin tawe ni ngeyul tengi tang ji te tang te ranjingi chungi nelu ton tamba remba sosu tam chebe chobaji kweso tende kanza kam chuki damela mibani ji nilu tutuni jine o
subject havarish
jite tangs ti ranjingi chuni nelu tondambe rembaso tamchebe chopaji kweso se oda tate tondang ningbu dixigor tagi kondo she najin chijene gaji ngai nan ngara jingi meba gomna nga siade phagi phungbesan tang arangzu 세사데 풍베셈니 텔고 와레 풍베셈니 텔이온디가라 주기 풍보 ngaja cheyo mara ota tegiti phagi thalwate so samyaniando samda tu sin teyo tegala kaje nga sede tumna sudu gitubada rajin gitubada tendi gitubena tagi kondo juju najin cheje kaje gaji gachade rang luyul tu chawe gone 오다 딘디지 nga rajingi mepa nga nipe tindi sharina ta semno phagi karso gore ngarang to nangzul tela tende guljaji gegirwa ta te maim bache samlu tende thola gache thola gyune samlo mazana rajingi yomara ngachi yomarzana tati kwa phagi ndichabaina sichi tamje kwa machabe kona tatendi labaina ti tenden karsore maripi zindala netugu marwa maripa lenki ginzala danzi maripi lenki ginzala nebaji chuaina tandi gore ti nebar chuala gachi le parchagone ta ngarajingi me pate ogom tubu gore otati sungare injuranta ta kyongor mchite shivuji ne chambore sungdwa
page 133. Furthermore, in explaining the techniques for meditating on the selflessness of persons, the object of the mode of apprehension of the innate misconception of self, which is projected onto the mere quote-unquote I, is the self's having inherent existence, or existence by way of its own characteristics, or existing due to its own entity, and so forth. Therefore, we should value and never be separated from the ascertainment of the view, the lack of inherent existence of the basis, the person. For some people to say, quote, there is no inherent I, unquote, is no more than empty words, and they say we should maintain that the quote and unquote I does not have that nature. The I, quote and unquote, does not exist in that way, and the I does not exist in the way it appears. When we examine these statements and maintain that the basis I does not have the nature of true existence, having allowed the generic image of the object of negation as described above to appear properly in relation to the basis I, there is no scope of thinking of such statements as mere empty words. If we do not recognize the generic image of the object of negation properly after allowing it to appear, how could such statements not be empty words? Therefore, the definitive object relating to the view which all the scriptures take as a literal expression teaching the profound subject of emptiness must be asserted to be the actual nature of that which acts as a basis, reality, the mode of subsistence, the ultimate truth, and so on. So, in brief, what he's saying here is that, especially the selflessness of person, and how to eliminate this innate misconception of self. For example, if self exists the way it appears to be, self exists independently or objectively or inherently or intrinsically, where should we be finding that self or I or person? We should be, doing that investigation on our beginning with our body, this body. You go through that, 5 aggregates. Is I a form or not? And you will find that I or self is not a form. It is a feeling. It's not a feeling. So, if I exist independently, it should be findable among these 5 aggregates. However, that is not the case. I is unfindable. And if I exist independently, it should be independently existing, without kind of anything to do with those 5 aggregates. However, that is not the case. I doesn't exist independently or inherently. And one must have that kind of investigation and sort of, understanding gained through experiential kind of, a process rather than simply kind of, intellectual, understanding. The intellectual understanding won't be helpful in kind of removing or, this innate misconception of self. And so again here, the same thing we said before, we need to understand when we say selflessness, what are we negating? What is the object of negation in terms or in relation to self? And here His Holiness says that this, understanding of object of negation is very kind of crucial and important.
우마탄주 룰라다 직 풍부 지암 양니 풍부 갈레세네 따빠 민다 섬지 민세 샤 섬지래 민다 섬래 제 탄에 따 섬지 니리제 다 대순과래 다지 풍모함 지레세네 따페 가세 간사게 친이지 샤용도가라 따페 가 섬지 따빠 섬지 마도 그 율코랑은 뜬데긴지 땐자왕 인샤고 말아 쭉 간디지나 진디가라 같이 냈지 차를 같이 가사가 담에다 추기 담에 쓰게 다지고니 개버차 말아 같이 냈지 차죠 렘버투바 가야 대가랑 거 나라싱이 매버 제난다 나 렘버투바 제난다 나랑은 투바 제난다 이 메어토바데 가사가 담에 오더 뿜소 라싱기 투바 제난다 뿜사 렘버투바 제나 뿜소 랑은 투바잖아. 티 랑징이 마투바데 율충이 차대요래. 티 추기 담에 시고래. 간지 다지고니 개버마도 가지고니 내 찌레 있을 순도. 티 인두가라 간사가 담에서 추기 담에 세야 자야데 다지 개버고는 차버레스.
According to the interpretation of High School of Thought, Middle Way Consequence School, what is I and what is I or self or person? In their definition, it says that I or self or person is merely a designation given upon either 4 or 5 aggregates. So they emphasize on the word merely. It's merely a designation, nothing more than that. There is no existence from objective side. It's merely a designation that is given upon or label that is imposed upon, nothing more than that. And in terms of true selflessness, selflessness of phenomena and selflessness of person, and looking from what to negate, the object of negation is basically a same thing, that is inherent or intrinsic existence. The only difference is, as we said before, selflessness or emptiness of these two is the only difference is the foundation or the basis. If the basis or foundation is person, then it becomes a person. If the basis or foundation is other than person, we call that selflessness or emptiness of phenomena. So, but what we try to negate is inherent or intrinsic existence, which is equally or similar in both cases.
Wada tindigal tunti sawana rangwe me kyang mingde pardala ze sunore. Wada tezu ta kwat tigani lengu wares.
So in the root text of tenets, we find mentions such as, although they don't exist objectively, self-sufficiently, but they are merely designation, and that is what is meant by what we are saying here.
Wada di jisu zo masang. Digale jana tini o ni kaka chayong do.
We'll take a break here.